seems fair to me.
Well, if you don't know what fair is, you can't make it
Donnybrook is made possible by the members of the 9 Network.
Thanks for joining us for another edition of Donnybrook. Great to have you aboard on this cold day, but we have some hot topics. And we want to thank our friends at the Gatesworth for making this program possible, as you do week in and week out. We thank you very much. Let's meet the panelists for this episode, starting with the media veteran herself from KTRS, Wendy Wiese. He's from FM News Talk 97.1 and making his debut on Donnybrook, Marc Cox. Welcome aboard, Marc.
Thank you, thank you.
One of our founders who needs no introduction to an American audience, Ray Hartman. And the award-winning Alvin Reid from the St. Louis American, STLmag.com, and the DePere Kirkwood Chamber of Commerce on February 1st will name him the Community Advocate of the Year. Congratulations, Tony.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
I'm very honored. I am indeed honored. And before we start, I got to say, this man to my left could play right field for the Cardinals. He's got the arm for it. I'm telling you, we played a media softball game.
Well, you remember that?
I do. Now, I don't know if you can hit a curve.
You already remember me whiffing then, too, right? I struck out every time. It didn't matter. Yeah.
Well, in the outfield, he'll be to the right, and on our program, he'll probably be to the right, too.
There we go.
We'll find out.
Guaranteed.
We'll find out. Hey, Alvin, I want to ask you about some major developments since we met last week and talked about the possibility of combining the city and the county in a merger. Now, on Monday, the not-for-profit group funded by Rex Singfield, Better Together, will finally release its much-anticipated report. But since we spoke, the county council thought that it would put a non-binding resolution on the April 2020 ballot for county voters just to see how county voters feel about this, about 7 months in advance of the statewide vote that's planned. And as we speak right now in Chesterfield, the Municipal League is kind of going around the statewide vote by Better Together and planning the Board of Freeholders, a group of individuals who could also change the city and the county structure and do so legally. So of these developments, what do you think is the most significant here?
Well, first of all, they're all significant because all action should be taken to stop this nonsense. You want to go over, you want to go under, you want to go around. Everybody who has a plan or an idea, please throw it out there, because this is complete and total just violation of everybody's rights in St. Louis City and St. Louis County. Now, as far as the county is concerned, if you've got a county executive who stands with this mess, then you need to take some action, and the voters of St. Louis County need a chance to voice that we don't want any part of this. We don't care what the county executive says. And then two, as far as the municipal league, yes, if the mayors throughout the St. Louis area want to stand up and say, like, oh no, we have our own plan, throw that one out there too. By the way, there's mayors throughout Missouri that are coming together, coming up with their ideas. Kansas City wants no part of it either. So yeah, the more the merrier. Let's put it that way. Nobody's wrong, everybody's right. Let's stop this.
Well, I would say the only thing with the mayors, and I do like the Municipal League, and I don't like a statewide vote on the city and the county, but the mayors, too, they have their axes to grind, and they have inefficiencies, and, you know, I don't know exactly what will be set up by the Municipal League, but it'll also work in the best interests of the city and the county. You know, you have to admit that as much as you may not like Better Together, Alvin, they have a point that we do have a lot of police departments. We have 2 recorders of deeds. We have some inefficiencies with 2 court systems. You know, if we have 2 counties next to each other, can't we merge some services?
I have been forever and continue to be for a city-county merger. I definitely do not, as you know, approve of having this governance crammed down the throats of the city and county against its will, and I've said so. But I think that while it might be nice and symbolic, and it's fine if they want to have a referendum and so forth, in the big picture of things, I don't think it will have much meaning in terms of the outcome. And I do think that if the Municipal League is able to actually come up with a plan and actually do something, some form of action, whether it's talking about the city-county merger or talking about some consolidation in the county, I think actual actions going on would have possibly a better chance of impacting this 2020 thing.
Yeah, this is going to be huge. Let me tell you what the Municipal League is going to do here. They are going to refer to Article 6 of the Missouri Constitution, subsection 30A, which lays out how the city and county would ever reconnect if they were going to. They're following the Constitution. They're going to put together, this would be an advisory board. They'll go to the polls. They will collect 15,000 signatures in the county, 5,000 in the city. That's all they need. Puts together this board appointed by the county executive, by the mayor, by the governor. And then that board would spend a year looking at a plan. And probably in July of next year, they would put it to a vote of city and county voters who should be the ones making this decision.
But if the mayor and the county executive are in favor of better together, and they're the ones who decide who the freeholders are,
they may roll out the better together plan. Yeah. I don't care what decision they make is irrelevant. The point is, city and county voters should be the ones making this decision, not people in Springfield and Kansas City and Joplin.
But the Board of Freeholders, they would be appointed by the office holders who have already come out, as you said, in favor of. So don't they have the sort of the end run there?
The fix is in.
Well, but it's not an end run because the result is a vote by the city and the county. And it's not a statewide vote.
Well, that's
so no matter what they come up with,
right?
I don't think. But before Better Together,
before
Better Together can get this to a statewide ballot, we would have a vote in St. Louis City and County, and you'd have the results of those to show to all the voters statewide about whether people here really want it or not.
I don't disagree with you, Mark, but I also think you might be being a little idealistic because, I mean, the Better Together plan is predicated and endorsed by the Post-Dispatch specifically on the predicate that city and county voters won't approve. So we'll see if it has meaning.
Well, what does the Post-Dispatch editorial have to do with anything?
I'm not saying it has any impact locally, but it will be, I told you, it will be used.
Okay, I would disagree with you, Ray.
It will be used
when you want the city and the county together. I do
want the city and county to merge.
I will say, one problem I have with that, and you got to admit, it'll be one-party government, and I'm not sure, when we've seen that before, I'm not sure that's a good thing.
Wait, let me be clear. I want the city to re-enter the county. I did not say I want them to.
And the county would be all one-party government, and I think that you need that check and balance, Republicans on one side and Democrats on the other.
I'm sorry, this is like, if this were to go by, the two school districts, there will be one school district in St. Louis County.
Yeah.
And I look, good, bad, nonetheless. I'm not saying that, but who gets to decide who's going to do that? And all of a sudden, the state is going to be able to decide all these issues for St. Louis and St. Louis County? No way.
Okay, let's move on.
This is not just remember, this is not a red or blue issue. It's a green issue. It's a money grab. All it is.
Okay, let's hold off and move on to another topic. I think it's a big one. This next one, Ray Hartman, and that is that there's a measure in Jefferson City by Representative Jim Murphy which would allow the police officers who, let's say, pick up somebody with 90 grams of marijuana to leapfrog over the county prosecutor, who won't prosecute those smaller amounts of marijuana, or the circuit attorney in the city, the police officers there. They go straight to the attorney general and take their cases for the state laws that the local prosecutors refuse to handle. You see any problems with this?
Yes, Wesley Bell has a mountain to climb, unlike any elected official.
It's Kim Gardner too.
And no, but this was about Wesley Bell. This is a gentleman from Oakville who's upset about Wesley Bell's election. Elections matter. This bill is not going anywhere, first of all, and second of all, it's a terrible idea. It would, it may sound good to some people that are upset about Wesley Bell's election and the fact that he wants to turn to. Excuse me, he is not following the law. Every prosecutor in the state has forever had prosecutorial discretion on cases. They don't like Wesley Bell's politics. They don't like his emphasis on prevention, and it's not going anywhere. It's a bad idea.
He's not a social engineer. He's a county prosecutor.
But he's not. He's going to enforce the law. Give him.
No, he's not going to enforce the law. That's the whole point. Oh, he's already said that if you have less than 100 grams. And this is his opinion. I'm not making this up. He's not going to prosecute you.
Then we ought to also be as upset about all the police officers that won't give you a speeding ticket for going 38 and a 30 because they, as a matter of policy, don't go over 10 miles. It's nonsense.
I don't know if that's a parallel, Ray. Because 3.5 ounces of pot, as it's been described to me, is the equivalent of 200 or 300 marijuana cigarettes. You don't carry around that amount unless you're going to do something with it. We're not talking about a 30 to a 38 mile an hour speed limit
He's
violation.
the elected prosecutor.
But it's not prosecutorial discretion. It's prosecutorial misconduct if you don't enforce the law.
He is our prosecutor. He got elected.
But he
Elections
doesn't make the
matter.
law. Prosecutors don't make the laws.
He's
that's,
not saying-
that's the
let-
General
I say-
Assembly or the county council. He's supposed to prosecute violations of the law.
All right. Okay. Here it's take Kim Gardner's name out of it, Wesley Bell's, our police department, around the country, different things happen. Okay, you're in a metropolitan area, he's not going to chase after this or whatever, but that's his discretion. But take all the personalities out of it. It's a bad idea because for two reasons. One, okay, I'm whoever, police, whatever, and I know you're a criminal, Charlie. We know, everybody knows you're a criminal, but the prosecutors say, we really don't have anything on this guy or whatever. Well, I'm going to skip right over you because I got some buddies, upstate, the attorney general, and he'll come after you. I think you have to go do your due process. Then two, like I said, depends on where we're at. In North Dakota and whatnot, if they catch me with a whole bunch of illegally, harvested logs, which is like a felony because there's a whole bunch of money, up there they'd say, dude, you're donating that for firewood or whatever. I'm not going to send you to jail. Now, this, it seems, okay, that's fine here. The thing plays out the way it does all over America. So it's just a bad idea.
Well,
Please, but keep Wesley Bell's name and Kim Gardner's name, no matter where you're at. Okay. This type of legislation.
One of the things, and this is important, we just got done talking about state respecting local autonomy. Conservatives normally want government closer to home. That's what county prosecutors are. We have prosecutors in every county of the state, and we have local government.
We have the supremacy clause, and state law supersedes the county
And
prosecutor.
it's interesting when you get somebody that's perceived to be too liberal as a prosecutor. Now we want to bring in the attorney general, but the same conservatives want everything close to home.
I got to tell you, Ray,
those
police officers are sworn to uphold the law.
That's a little different than a statewide vote.
It's a little different, yeah, because
it's a statewide vote. We're talking about a statewide vote.
I'm talking about respecting the will of the county electorate. They elected a prosecutor. Let him do his job. If once he does it, if
you feel that way about Donald Trump too? Elections matter. Let him do his job.
No,
you don't. Okay.
Impeach him. Impeach him.
I'm just going to say federal law supersedes state law.
No, you say elections.
You said elections
federal
have
law
consequences.
supersedes state law, and a lot of things go on that have not been passed.
All right, let's move on then. Wendy Wiese, I want to ask you about the guy in Troy, Missouri, who was working out at a health club, pumping iron. I think it was called the CDY Fitness, and he was wearing a Trump T-shirt. He was asked to remove it. He didn't, so the owner asked him to leave the club. How do you think about what do you think about that? Were his rights violated?
I think his rights were absolutely violated. I would think that the rights of somebody wearing a rainbow flag T-shirt were also violated under the same set of circumstances. These people have freedom to express. They have freedom to express themselves. And I have a feel we're weaponizing things like this now. T-shirts, hats. The kid on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial deserved to be shot because of his "Make America Great Again" hat. We've gone completely nuts, in my opinion.
I won't take it to that extreme, but I mean, he had on a Trump T-shirt, and if there wasn't a riot in there every day, maybe you want to approach him and say, listen, I've got some customers who got a little problem with this. Up to you. I'm just telling you. I mean, this is outrageous.
I think that's what she
enough
did.
is enough.
Alvin, I think that's probably what she did.
But it was or leave.
He has a different
It
stuff.
was. There's a
Well,
difference.
that's
There's a big difference.
Okay.
Or
It's her
leave.
gym.
That's a huge difference.
You know what?
If it was her gym,
her gym.
and if somebody was offended by a rainbow flag, they have every.
It would be compulsive outrage disorder on the other side, and it's everybody's got it. We're all sick of it. It's red silo, blue silo. It's economic. The guy got a free membership at another gym, which is just good for him.
But now wait a minute, Ray.
She doesn't want political statements in her gym.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, but
either way,
if I were in a gym and had an Obama shirt on, and they basically told me to leave, the fact that I got a free membership at another gym,
all the right
I would say
the fact is, guys,
on the right that were upset
she can discriminate against you. She can say no shirt, no shoes, no service. She owns the place. She can't discriminate based on race, disability, creed, nationality, and that's not this.
Liberty.
So she...
Yeah, I think she had the right to tell that. It speaks to the bigger issue in this country of people who are deranged because of their hatred of Donald Trump. It's what we see it. We see it in restaurants in Washington D.C. where people are yelled at and screamed at, and you're not allowed to carry. You're not allowed to wear a shirt from the previous election. That speaks to it. That there's a problem here.
Okay, well, and this is the compulsive outrage disorder on your side of the side. And by the way, I couldn't agree with you more about how ridiculous, how reprehensible it is to approach, to harass, whether it's Republican or Democratic lawmakers when they're having dinner. No brief for that at all. I think it was outrageous. There were two examples where on the left looked ridiculous in the last week and a half. One of them was over this kid where there was
Covington Catholic.
Covington Catholic, the kid, the left looked ridiculous. But interestingly, the right, if you watch Fox News, spent 3 hours as if it was the only topic of the day, making it a big thing. And there was the one the week before where BuzzFeed got out of its lane on a stupid story, and the right spent 3 hours where it was the only story they talked about.
But you know why?
So it goes in both directions.
What I was going to say was,
we're told this. Because we're told this is the equivalent of a white hood these days.
No, well,
why are people triggered by that?
I'll tell you why. Let me ask you this. First of all, this doesn't offend me, but I'd like to know your explanation why Donald Trump was the only Republican in Washington who didn't find, with his great tweeting about Stephen King.
All right, we're way off topic.
He's a racial arsonist. Not you, Trump.
All right. Generally speaking, we appreciate the prop.
Thank you.
Marc did his homework, I guess, and
it's fine. He should be able to wear it.
You want to wear this?
Hey, Marc, I want to ask you about the foster parents in Missouri who have been in charge of children who are not their own. Of course, that's what foster parents are.
Right.
And they've been told, keep your firearms locked up, keep your ammunition away from the firearms when you're in the house, if the kids are in the house, and when you're driving, the firearm also has to be in a locked compartment, which is actually the law they have in Massachusetts. So how do you feel about that? They feel that their Second Amendment rights were abridged, but the state has said we are looking out for these kids, and there are too many gunshot wounds coming out of homes with firearms, so we think that these are necessary measures.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure what part of shall not be infringed that they don't understand. It's ludicrous to put the onus back on the firearm owner in this case. I would guess in this state, and I could be wrong, there's always been a struggle to find qualified people to take these children in the foster system. Why would you put one more layer of bureaucracy on there? Do I think that people should be responsible gun owners? Absolutely. I'm a responsible gun owner. I lock my gun in a safe every night. I make sure it's locked up so that it's away from my children and any neighbor kids that might come over. Everybody should be a responsible gun owner. I don't think the state has any business getting their nose in.
If it isn't a hardship for you, and if you are a responsible gun owner, and you have kids, this is a family that has kids. How is it a hardship for them? I don't see. To me, that we have had far too many cases of kids being accidentally shot because they weren't put up by responsible gun owners.
Well, that may be, but the bottom line is if I keep a firearm in my house for protection, and I have to keep the gun over here and the ammunition over there, I can't protect myself or anybody else who's there. It's impossible. You can't access it. You might as well have a baseball bat.
I tried to find this and I couldn't because I was trying to say like this is kind of the same but different, and I couldn't find it. But I just wondered if I'm a foster parent, can I own a pit bull? Because obviously, if I'm a parent, I can. And I really tried to find
it could go
that.
off at any moment.
Yeah, but I kind of figured that there's probably no law that says what kind of pet you can have if you have foster children. That's a guess because I could not find it.
I hope
but
they do.
Kind of the same way. I don't think you can pass any law that says, like, as a foster parent, you can't do this, but as a regular parent, you can. I mean, because if you're a foster...
Yes, you can, because this is about, if the state in its foster parent program wants to have special rules that go beyond what everybody else has for children, for protecting children, that principle is not... You understand when you become a foster parent, there's certain rules you have to play. As far as it being a Second Amendment issue, if we applied to the First Amendment what you're saying about the Second Amendment, then you should be able to threaten to kill somebody because otherwise we have no First Amendment. All of our amendments, all of our constitutional rights come with some reasonable regulation. I don't think that a reasonable set of regulations for foster parents in the interest of children's safety is means that we don't have a Second Amendment.
Well, Marc,
I believe in the
Second
right to own
Amendment
a gun.
say a well-regulated militia?
We can argue
I'm not
hell
talking
if we
about
want.
that.
Yeah.
I'm just saying it's not an unlimited
All I'm
right.
saying, all I'm saying is there
That's all.
are a lot of pediatric gunshot wounds, and I mentioned this last week
And
that
deaths.
Stu
There-
Durando
deaths.
of the Post-Dispatch has just written a book about it. It's crazy. The kids, surveys have shown that 2 out of 3 kids know where their parents' firearms are, and 1 out of 3, 36%, have said that they have handled them without their parents' permission.
It's about education.
I'm educating you.
But I know, but I grew up with relatives on farms, and when you walked in, there was a gun behind the door because they had to go shoot varmints at night that got near the livestock. I was told you don't touch that under any circumstances. So you either educate your kids or you don't.
But Marc, this is about a special program,
kids.
about a specific program
There shouldn't
where
be
the
any
state
difference
is taking
between foster kids
the state is taking extra precautions on behalf of foster kids. There's
Okay.
nothing
What I
wrong
thought
with
was
that.
really intriguing, though, about this particular couple, they have started GoFundMe pages. When I think of the people that I know who have taken in foster children at incredible personal sacrifice, financial sacrifice, this couple has started a GoFundMe page, and one of the things that they're trying to get some help with is having a date night every week so that they can work on their marriage. I think there are other things that things that the state needs to look into with the Attaways.
That's all right.
That's called
Yeah.
the last word on
right,
the subject.
Marc, I want to ask you also about last week. It was really interesting in the Board of Aldermen when Kara Spencer was trying to get a measure to put on the ballot, a vote by the people of the city of St. Louis on whether the city's largest asset, the airport, should be privatized. And one alderman, John Carlos Mohammed, said, hey, you didn't vote for my measure, I'm not going to vote for yours. And so for the time being, he sunk it. Right. But overall, because it is an issue of enormity, and we're not talking about painting the streets, the stripes in the streets, I think this is a huge issue. And since the opposition comes from one guy, basically, Rex Singfield, wouldn't it be good to have a vote of the people of the city of St. Louis over this huge asset?
We're a representative democracy. You've elected these folks. Let them make a decision. They're not giving away the airport. They're not ceding it to the county. They're not giving it to anybody. They're still going to make the revenue off of it. You got to ask whose ox is being gored here by somebody in the city not having direct control over the day-to-day operation of the airport.
We would
I don't know who that
be
is.
the first city in America to have this done, and there's a reason for it. Privatization of the airport, I think, is the invisible elephant in the room on the Better Together thing. I think it's related.
Yeah,
it's
not,
one of
many.
And that the idea of privatizing the airport, if they went forward with this Unigov, would be to cash out the airport, to retire the city's debt, and basically as part of dissolving the city and the earnings
and
tax.
the sales tax.
And it is a big deal. It's not just, leasing airport grounds to private companies makes all kinds of sense, which was what this is
I'm
different.
not comfortable with Mr. Collins Mohammed and the very
either.
blatant quid pro quo. You don't back my stuff. I'm not going to back yours. It doesn't matter if this is about airport privatization or anything else. If I'm Kara Spencer.
Well, Kara Spencer.
Well, that's horse trading, and that's honest. That's refreshing.
Kara Spencer is doing the right thing for the right reason.
I do too.
actually
I think people
agree.
should vote. Also, if there was some way that this decision could be made after the Board of Aldermen was reduced down to 14 from this existing 28, then I'm already in favor of it. But I mean, look. I can't sit here and rail on the city Board of Aldermen and then stand up and say they would do the right thing for the right reasons. I have no trust in that body. I think this behavior, this quid pro quo, who's for it, what's in it for me, that's rampant down there, and I do not trust them.
Exactly.
Some of the powers that be do not want a vote on merger. They don't want to vote on the airport. They don't want to go there.
Yeah, right.
Hey, Ray, we only have about 2 minutes to go, and I want to ask you, since you did have season tickets for the Rams, I think at one point,
I got my money.
Yeah, exactly.
Give me my
I
money.
think you're going to get some of your PSL money back.
We'll see.
But it was a bad week for the St. Louis sports fan because Chris Bryant of the Cubs said that this town is boring and no players want to play here. I think he's wrong, but he said
He is
that.
wrong.
and the Rams, who left us, are going to the Super Bowl.
Well, there is some irony in the fact that the Rams are going to the Super Bowl on the worst call probably in the history of sports.
Yep.
And the NFL is just openly being ridiculed by the world. So for those of us that aren't thinking that fondly of the Rams, it's kind of some interesting irony, and it is. I mean, it's bittersweet for us to think that 17 years ago we saw this. I was there when we were sure that this rookie kid named Tom Brady wasn't any good.
Yeah.
And he
I was there in
ended up,
1999,
so
and it was
I was there.
It was great that they won. It was great that they went back 2 years later. I think when you look now, so like you can say all the hate you want to, but man, wouldn't it be nice if we were Super Bowl city right now? We blew that, not anybody else.
We didn't blow
that.
We didn't blow it.
Blew that.
You know
Blew
what?
it sky high.
I tell you what.
Our fault.
How did we blow it?
How is it our fault?
The
We
day
didn't
he
blow
bought
it.
the team, you said like we're keeping this team. Now what do we
Excuse
have to do to keep this team? And
Alvin,
no one
there was
did anything.
There was nothing to be done.
This started
Let me
the
tell
day
you, let me tell you.
There was
He
nothing.
played
Months.
us like a violin.
But that
day he
was
bought the team.
Months before,
101 ESPN.
while they were still
we-
negotiating, while we were spending hundreds of thousands of dollars showing you a potential stadium down on the riverfront and all that stuff, the Rams' top ownership was already purchasing homes in L.A.
Okay,
absolutely.
This thing was a done deal 2
I was
years
writing
out.
about
I think
this in
that's the
11
reason he was a
How about 7 years?
Well, it
How
might have
about-
been longer than that.
I said the day that they bought the team, I said it on the
But,
air.
Alvin-
You got to get to him, and you got to say,
Alvin,
dude, how do we
there
get
wasn't
this
a
team
deal
in
to
Los
be done.
Angeles?
The reason
in Los
we
Angeles,
got
in
there
St.
was
Louis.
One guy at a
was
time.
one reason we lost the Rams. One. Once this happened, it was a perfect storm. The reason we lost the Rams was that Georgia Frontier died. Once she died, and there was
Okay.
no
We're
chance
not gonna
after that.
continue this conversation
to stop
another
crime.
time.
There was no
Hey,
chance.
folks, you can always write us and share your opinions on the program by writing 3655 Olive Street, St. Louis, Missouri, 63108. Don't forget those emails, letters at ketc.org, and those tweets. Hashtag Donnybrook STL, because Alvin and Wendy will be reading those in a moment. Don't forget to catch us on our podcasts, available on Apple and Spotify, Google Play, and TuneIn. Thanks so much for joining us, and thanks to Marc Cox from FM News Talk 97.1, who did a great job
Well,
tonight.
thank you for
So much, and he brought the props. Stand by, everybody, because Alvin and Wendy will be taking your phone calls.
You should wear it. Put it on your head, man.
Donnybrook is made possible by the members of the 9 Network.
Hey, on a chilly Thursday night, Wendy Wiese, Alvin Reid, let's warm it up. Clifford in Sunset Hills. How you doing tonight, Clifford?
Hi, Clifford.
Hi. Wendy and Alvin, thank you for another provocative commentary tonight.
Oh, thank you.
Addressing the city and county merger, we will probably be discussing this election night 2020. But nonetheless, the 88 municipalities in the county, the bulk of them can afford to provide the services that the citizens expect. And as long as those citizens are willing to pay the freight to accomplish that, then they should be allowed to do that. Now, what is happening in our state, I see, which is amazing, is that many of those communities and mayors and people who are involved in the running of those cities, they are also concerned about this. And Jackson County, which encompasses Kansas City and those municipalities, much like St. Louis County's 88, they are concerned too. So this is going to be a long discussion, and my real interest is following the money, and I still can't figure out who is going to make a buck out of this whole thing.
Well, I'll tell you what, and not to cast aspersion, but to do such. When I look at the parties that be in the city of St. Louis, Mayor Slay, on to Lyda Crewson, those that backing it, I just feel like, why? Why at this time? Why at this moment? Because there's something in it for them.
Well, as Marc said tonight, he said it's not about red or blue, it's about green. And Freeman Bosley Sr. actually said that a long time ago. He said this is not about St. Louis we have all sorts of issues, but it's not about black St. Louis or white St. Louis. It's about, it's green. And so clearly there is money to be made. And when you have this much interest, and I mean, when you have the Cardinals jumping on this Better Together bandwagon, something's up. And that's not because we're natural cynics who are in the media. I think everybody feels that way. You know, something's up.
And maybe we'll find out next Monday.
Maybe we
on
won't.
The 28th.
Maybe we won't. But thank you for the call.
Thank
Clifford.
you.
Let's go to Mike in Glendale. Hi, Mike. Welcome. You're on Donnybrook. Your turn.
Yeah, good evening.
Hi.
With the prosecuting attorney refusing to issue on a possession of marijuana 100 grams or less, you know, the arresting officer always has the opportunity of going to municipal court and filing his charges there. And the fine there is a maximum of $1,000. Now, that's the court that everybody loves because that's the same court where traffic tickets go. And with all the negative publicity on these municipal courts being ATMs, and Tony Messenger writing about debtor prisons, I think that's going to be your problem going to municipal court. But that's the other option.
Okay. Thank you, Mike. Oh, boy, I'm drawing a blank, but the gentleman who held the position that Jeff Rorta does now, okay, he told me, we were sitting and talking just someplace, not on camera or anything like that. He said a lot of times people who were arrested for marijuana possession in the city was because of the, like, dashboard camera, and you're, like, interrogating and saying, okay, I got, you know, marijuana in the car, reefer, whatever, and what do I do at that point? He said, like, I felt like I had to take the people in because I was on camera. Well, ordinarily, I would have just said,
you might have said,
hey, if I see you again tonight, you're in trouble, or something like that.
Right.
So it's an interesting dynamic, but I think you can't just decide, Wesley Bell, you're wrong, this is the law, and I'm going to follow the law, because the law isn't followed a lot of times.
Right. And the whole dashboard camera dynamic, that's relatively recent. So, Mike, we thank you for the phone call and for the great points that you brought up.
And we move to Jim in Webster Groves. Hi, Jim.
Hi, Jim.
Hi, I have a question. Correct me if I'm wrong, this has to do with the merger. But my understanding is that St. Louis City is its own separate county. And so with the merger, the county that is St. Louis City would merge with St. Louis County.
That's correct.
I may be wrong about that, but that is what I think is being talked about. And then, if that's the case, then would the people inside the city of St. Louis be required to pay county taxes? And that would all have to be worked out, wouldn't it? I'm just wondering how that would all, have to be figured out.
Yes. Like in Kirkwood, we get a separate bill. I'm sure other, municipalities do too.
Right.
If this were to go through and there was one police force, we would now have to figure out exactly how that is being funded.
How you're going to cut up that pie.
Right. How do we cut up that pie? And no one, as far as I'm understanding, has said that, hey, people in the county, your taxes will stay the same, your taxes will go down, your taxes will go up as far as what goes to the police department. So if you can't answer those questions, and maybe they will be answered on January 28th, but I just don't trust it. I don't.
I think that they have probably already answered the questions. Mm-hmm. I just think they're going to roll it out a little bit at a time. It's going to be like water torture. So.
Well, why the statewide vote? Because we know that people in St. Louis County especially will not vote for this. They will overwhelmingly vote against it. So thus, I kind of think
you have a
we're
much
not going to
better.
like.
You have a much better
Yeah.
shot.
We're
Right.
not going to like what comes out on the 28th.
Exactly.
Thanks,
Thank
Jim.
you, Jim. Let's go to Bob in Baldwin. Hi, Bob. Welcome. You're on Donnybrook. Your turn.
Hi, Wendy. Hi, Alvin.
Hi.
Hi.
Thank you so much. First of all, you talked about the law that they want to pass, or the rule they passed with foster parents and handguns. My sister was a foster parent for 20 years, and she always had to sleep with a handgun under her pillow. The reason was because the parents would find out where these children were,
Okay.
and on 4 separate occasions, she had them try to break into her house, and the only thing that stopped them before the police got there was the handgun. So I don't understand why they don't want foster parents to be able to protect the children and the people that are taking care of them.
Okay.
And as far as the city-county merger goes, I want nothing to do with it. I used to live in the city, and I got out of there because of the crime, the debt, the taxes they imposed on us, the stupid rules, and I don't think anybody in the county wants this unless they're some crazy progressive.
All right. Well, I'm a crazy progressive, and I don't want it. So
Yeah.
you tone that down a little bit. Oh, and by the way, if you sleep with a gun underneath your pillow, the most likely person to be shot with that gun is you.
You.
So,
Yeah.
all right. Was that Bob?
And I bet she didn't have a GoFundMe page so that she and her husband could go out and have date nights. I can guarantee you that, Bob. Thank you. Thank you very much for the phone call.
Dave in Defiance. Hi, Dave.
Hi, Dave.
Hi, thanks for taking my call. My question is if this is there a 1% tax that city residents would pay if they combine the city and the county? Would the county police or any combination thereof have to pay that 1%?
No,
revenue tax.
This is one of the things we'll probably find out on the 28th, maybe. But that earnings tax is going to go away.
He's wanted it. Mr. Singfield has wanted that to go away. That's been in his sights.
Yes.
Since he moved back.
That's going away.
Yeah.
So there's 1% that somebody's going to make up for. I wonder who that is.
Thank you, Dave.
Thank you.
We have some tweets from the Twitterverse at Sister Sarah 23 about the man at the gym with the Trump t-shirt. He wasn't asked to remove the shirt. He was asked not to wear it again. This is another example of the media spreading half-truths and not getting the full story. Thank you, at Sister Sarah.
At M's Orbit, it is the recommendation of the American Academy of Pediatrics that in homes where there are children, that gun owners store their firearms locked and unloaded. Are foster parents not required to follow the guidance of the child's pediatrician?
Thank you, at M's Orbit. At Kensky5, let them appoint all the freeholders they want. Any vote on the city-county merger in the city and the county only will make it go down in flames.
Hashtag Donnybrook. Oh, we got one more. I'm sorry. At Holy Star 77, Wesley Bell's prosecutorial discretion is a compassionate enforcement of the law. However, it seems in Missouri that's not allowed. You have to crush the poor to the maximum extent.
Your tweets are welcome at hashtag Donnybrook STL. We have plenty of time to hear what you have to say if that's the way that you choose to get in touch with us.
Absolutely. Brian, Hazelwood, how you
Brian.
doing?
Oh, how you guys doing? How are you guys, Wendy and Alvin?
Fine, thank you. Cold.
A little cold, but we're okay.
It is cold out there. Well, I just wanted to make a comment and say I do agree with Ray Hartman about if Georgia Frontier was still living, the Rams wouldn't have been moved. She would have kept them here in St. Louis.
Agreed.
Okay, I agree with that. But she had passed on, and we needed to take some distinct and direct action, and we chose not to do so. We weren't stopped from doing so.
We chose to
chose
believe
not to do so.
that his mother lived in Columbia, and we didn't have anything to worry about.
Absolutely. But thank you, Brian.
Thanks, Brian. Max in Veronica Park.
Well, I don't want to get into football things, but all owners are gangsters. Period. Just leave it at that. And suck them up to Kroenke. Kroenke is no better or worse than any of them. St. Louis's only chance to have kept the team here is if Shad Khan could have bought them.
Okay.
This Frontier was not going to live forever. But that's not what I wanted to call about. This fellow who is trying to do the bypass law.
Jim Murphy.
It's just... Who is the fellow's name?
Jim Murphy of Oakville.
Okay, well, gee, another Irish person debasing themselves. By the way, I'm Irish. It's another example of outstate Missouri thwarting democracy. The puppy mill, the gun control thing, as weak as that was. Let's go right on down the line. It's the thwarting of democracy. And no one seems to be too upset about this. I don't understand. Even the Post-Dispatch, because I've talked to one of their editorial page people, aren't too upset about it. And I think and why do people have Trump derangement syndrome? Because we've got a deranged president with a cabinet full of deplorables. Can you imagine? I always like to say this. Can you imagine if Barack H. Obama comported himself just 1/10 like this?
Okay,
man
thanks,
does?
Max. All right, thank you. I will say this, that the police bypass, I think those that you just, kind of put in the guillotine, they probably would support it. So, I could be wrong, but we'll leave it at that.
And I don't think of Oakville as being outstate.
I don't either.
So.
That's kind of like out,
Kirkwood.
Out South Lindbergh.
Yeah.
Right. Rick in Florissant, how you doing?
Hi, Rick.
Hi, Wendy. Hi, Alvin. Say, I wanted to talk about the Municipal League proposal for a board of freeholders.
Mm-hmm.
That really can't fly, and the reason is when Gene McNary tried a board of freeholders, former State Representative Bob Quinn filed suit, and the courts declared the Board of Freeholders unconstitutional because by their very name, freeholders mean landowners, and it excludes everybody who rents an apartment.
Okay. No, I hear what you're saying. And going back to what we talked about on the show, hey, throw it out there, man. If it sticks, it sticks. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Keep throwing proposals. Keep standing in the way. Keep telling the entire state that we do not want this.
But you do see where the board would be problematic just because of the people appointing the members of the board, right? I mean, they're still the ones who are in favor of it, and they're going to put their people in office.
Yeah,
I mean,
I just say, like, look, but if it came to a vote, they might bring back the exact same thing that's on the table, say we support it totally, you should vote for this. We could still vote no. That's all we ask.
All right, Rick, we thank you for the call and for watching. Let's go to Debra in Potosi. Hi, Debra. Welcome. You're on Donnybrook. Your turn.
Well, thank you. I would just like to make a statement about the young man and the pro-life. There was 850,000 people there, and probably 80% of that 850,000 people was young people from the age from junior high on.
Ma'am, I don't mean to interrupt you. Wait a minute. I don't mean to interrupt you. But the person in the gym had on like a Trump shirt at the gymnasium. He wasn't at the pro-life celebration.
We talked about the gym only. We didn't get into the Covington Catholic part of the MAGA hats or whatever they're called. So
okay,
we
thank you.
Thank you, Debra. We appreciate the call, though.
Let's go to Donna in Afton. Hi, Donna.
Hi, Donna.
Hi there. Hi, how you doing?
Just fine.
I want to talk about the merger.
Okay.
Is it possible that, city pensions are going bankrupt and the 1% city earnings tax isn't enough to keep them afloat, so they want, this statewide vote where it will probably pass when it wouldn't pass in the county, just to so they can charge us the taxes to pay for their pensions and stuff.
I mean, I can't rule it out.
That's an interesting
I know.
idea.
That's one of those
certainly
things
makes sense.
That certainly makes sense, and I cannot rule that out. And
nobody's mentioned it.
Nobody has stood for it and said, like, pensions will remain the same in the city,
right.
And never mind that we merge. The county has a better pension plan, so they'll continue on that, and you'll continue on yours. No one has addressed any of these issues.
No. So you're
right.
Probably are onto something, Donna.
Yeah, exactly.
Have to wait for phase 3 Phase 4. Thank you, Donna.
Joanie in Manchester. Hi, Joanie.
Hi, Joanie.
Good evening. I have a comment about foster children and the gun thing. There are separate policies regarding foster children than there are state laws regarding your own children, your biological children. You can have as many biological children as you want sharing a bedroom, for instance, but you can't have 6 foster children in one bedroom, for instance. So there's varying policies and rules, not necessarily laws, about those things. So foster parents know that going in, and they have to abide by those regulations. That's all.
Okay, so you're saying the Attaways of Kansas City are making something out of something they were fully aware of before they took that one foster child in to their home.
I know something about St. Louis City and County. I don't know about Kansas or Kansas City.
Kansas City, yeah. I would imagine they would certainly have to sign the same kind of paperwork. Well, thank you, Joanie, for that insight. We appreciate it.
All right, thank you. Let's go to Ron in Dogtown. Hi, Ron.
Hi, Ron.
Yeah. Hi, Wendy. Hi, Alvin.
Hi.
Love your program.
Thank you.
I've never had an opportunity to meet Wendy, but maybe someday I will. You know, at a store or something. Well, I met you, Alvin, out at Walmart one time in Kirkwood.
Okay.
But anyway, what I was going to talk about was this privatization of the airport. I would think that that's going to affect a lot of people's jobs.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, in a way, certainly.
And, you know, so what, you know, if they privatize it, then that means a whole bunch of new people will be in there. And I kind of agree with what you said, that it's about the green.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And
right. You know, like if you work for TSA, your job probably wouldn't change. But if you work at one of the restaurants or something like that, oh, absolutely.
And who knows what sort of plans they could come up with, and it would not be it wouldn't be our purview. They're privatized. So there's a great deal of concern about that, Ron. We thank you for your phone call. And we have some more tweets. At Dog Mama STL, the red hat was too much for me. Yes, it is still a symbol of hate. I am amazed he still has support. How do you defend lies and mocking the disabled? Thank you, at Dog Mama STL.
At Liz Will, if you remove all guns from your house, you greatly reduce the chances of being shot in your home. But if you remove a football team from your town, you are doomed to hearing about them forever anyway. At Liz Will, you are the winner tonight.
Yeah. You are the Donnybrook queen of the day,
Absolutely.
Liz.
You can try to beat her and hashtag Donnybrook STL.
I think Yale would say that's a challenge.
That's a challenge. That was good.
That was awesome.
Very good.
Thank you, Liz.
All right, Doug in South St. Louis. Hi, Doug.
Hi, Doug.
Hi, guys. Long-time watcher, listener, love your program. Just got a quick comment that when we have friends over for the first time, sometimes their kids run around the house like wild little Indians. So I tell the people that I've got 2 loaded firearms in the house, which I don't, and you would not believe how quickly these kids become the quietest little angels you'd ever want in your house.
Yeah.
I hear you. Now, and people who will tell you that, and I was one too, it didn't matter. I was afraid of guns. I never wanted a gun.
Yeah, sure.
All right. So I don't think that would have ever happened to me, but it does happen, and you've got to take, an effort to make sure it doesn't happen. That's all I'm saying.
And we've had so many of these tragedies lately that it's really top of mind with this story from Kansas City. Doug, thank you very much for the phone call.
Let's go to Killeen in Afton. Hi, Killeen.
Hi, Killeen.
Hi, Wendy. Hi, Alvin.
Hi there.
Great program. I love you guys.
Thank you.
I have two. You're welcome. I have 2 comments about the city-county merger.
All right.
The first is, I believe it's an excellent way to retain and attract more business and larger companies. I've worked in both the city and the county, and with the exception of a place like Baltimore, St. Louis, Missouri is probably the only geographic area that separates the city from the county in such a way. Secondly, St. Louis, Missouri is always being quoted as being the murder capital of the U.S. if the city and the county merged, the city crime figure would then be absorbed by the 92 county municipalities, and this statistic would no longer be true, and it would be much lower.
And would all those people that got killed still be dead, Killeen?
I guess so.
Yeah, I guess so too. Thank you very much. We do appreciate it. Joe in Crestwood, how you doing?
Hi, Joe.
Good evening, Alvin, Wendy.
Hi.
In regards to this city-county merger, do you know what the figure of 1% city earnings tax that the citizens pay to the city each year?
That figure is out there. I can't come up with it off the top of my head, but it's right there.
I don't have it off the top of my head.
Right, and it's several million dollars.
I just read in the Post-Dispatch that the city of St. Louis, in their tax breaks giveaway last year, equated to about $31 million. Now, and that's $31 million in taxes that could be collected to provide services for the city and for the public schools. Now, I see a direct correlation between the city going broke and the city giving away our tax dollars, and now they want the county to bail them out. I just think that they need to reorganize their priorities in the city. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Joe.
Now we're going to go to Chris in St. Louis, and he's going to discuss the Rams. And I just wonder.
I don't know.
All right, here we go.
I don't know. I'll know in a minute.
Hi, Chris. You there?
Chris, are you there?
Chris going once?
Chris?
Chris going twice?
Chris in St. Louis.
All right, we're moving on. William in Florissant, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How you guys doing?
Just fine.
Thank you.
I just have a question for you.
Go right ahead.
I live in Florissant, right up 367 in Parker Road.
Mm-hmm.
And in the morning, I see this big influx of cars headed toward the city to go to work.
All right.
Now, if this merger comes about, will those same people be still going that direction to work, or would they be staying in the county to find work?
They would still be driving into the city, and they probably wouldn't be paying the 1% earnings tax.
That's
where
for
they
sure.
work in the city.
Yep.
Who's going to make up that shortfall? We don't know.
But we have our suspicions.
Yeah, I do too.
Thank you. Thank you, William. What a beautiful view he has, 367 in Parker Road. Crystal is in Swansea, Illinois. Hi, Crystal. Welcome. You're on Donnybrook. Your turn.
Hi, Wendy. Hi, Alvin. Thanks so much for taking my call.
You're welcome.
I just want to make a comment. Wendy, I agree with you. You know, parents that foster parents, they need that respite time that they can have just to spend time with one another, because it is a sacrifice when you bring in foster children, and we need more foster parents. We certainly do. I think with what they want to place with guns, I think that's excellent. I don't think the rules should be followed about where guns should be placed and everything else. And just to add, I think the Trump thing, it's awful, but I think it incites so much hatred when it's worn or seen, and it's sad. And I would just like to encourage everyone to come out to the cinemas in Missouri.
Okay, all right, honey. We got you. It's cool. We hear you.
But I was actually not in favor of the young couple putting their nights out on the town on a GoFundMe page. That you misunderstand completely. Generations of foster parents have paid for their own dollar night at the show or wherever they've economized. It just was quite amazing to me that these people actually put this on their entertainment dollars on their GoFundMe page.
Right.
So anyway, thank you, Crystal.
Generations of broke parents have found
That's exactly right.
A night on the town.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
Fran in Villa Ridge. How you doing, Fran?
Hi, Fran.
Hi. I just wanted to comment on the merger. I don't live in St. Louis County. I have relatives and friends. But I don't feel that we have the right to vote on that merger. We don't live there.
All right.
And it shouldn't be anybody else,
I agree. And Fran, tell your friends,
tell
your community, tell your elected leaders how you feel.
I think you have your campaign chair right there.
Fran,
maybe your spokesman,
Fran in Villa Ridge. She stands with us. Hey, real quick.
I'm there, and I just wanted to
That's good to hear.
I don't have a right to vote.
That's good to hear, Fran.
We thank you so much, okay?
Yeah.
All right, do we have time for one more? Chris, real fast. You got about 10 seconds. Glenn Carbon, hit us.
Yes.
Go right ahead, real quick.
Just to tell you that my wife and I moved here from New York. And my cousins told me that I would be confronted with this city-county issue. I'm from New York, and it's not a big issue between Brooklyn, Queens, and Manhattan. But here, with the demographics, I really believe that you're on the right way to merge.
Okay.
So the demographics really speak to it.
All right. Thank you, Chris. We appreciate that. And you kept that New York accent, didn't you?
He's never gonna let it go. Thank
There
you
you
all
go.
for watching. Have a wonderful week. Stay warm. We'll see you next Thursday. Good night.
Good night.